Hey there, welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show. This is a show that's dedicated to progressive rock, hard rock, heavy metal, and other forms of rock music. So we're back to our series here. This is episode number 20 of my favorite rock albums of 1980. So we're going to a band who I had a great affinity for in my high school days, basically. So they had five studio albums, five that I know of. They maybe have had a few since, but I don't think so. I think there's only five. It's a band I liked a lot, and actually Rush, who's my favorite band, liked them a lot too. And you can actually, by listening to their albums, you can actually hear some of the influences that Rush picked up from them on some of their 80s albums as well, Moving Pictures, Signals, and probably Beyond as well. Anyways, we're talking about the Police here, and the album we're doing today is called Zenyatta, Mondatta. Now, I do have several of the Police albums, but for some reason I don't have this one. I'm not really sure why. I'm pretty sure that I bought 3 or 4 of them in one session someplace, but I only have 3, so not sure whether this, maybe I didn't, maybe it was only the 2. I did own this album at one time. My friend had it, and he didn't even unwrap it. He didn't like the Police. His parents or somebody had given it to him, and so he said he knew that I had Regatta de Blanc, and I had the original album, which I'm drawing a blank on it, but anyways, I had the first 2 albums, and I didn't have this one, so he gave it to me unopened, and I had it, and it was vinyl, of course, so they all ended up with my sister. Okay, so anyways, Zenyatta, Mondatta, I think probably in the day, it was probably my 3rd favorite of their albums. I didn't really rank them back then, but I would say it wasn't the one I played the most. Regatta de Blanc easily held that title, may still hold that title actually. And the first album I played quite a bit too. This one not quite as much, but pretty similar. So these 3 I played a lot. It was the 2 later studio albums I didn't play nearly as much. But anyways, I like this album quite a bit, and I like this band quite a bit in the time period. And I discovered this by doing these kind of episodes and by having this channel, that a lot of the pop bands that I listened to back in the early 80s and late 70s, I liked quite a bit back then, but not many of them have survived to be regular music. I don't listen to them as much as I did. And this is true even with pop bands now when I listen to them. So what happens is I like them quite a bit and I listen to them a lot, and then for some reason they just disappear. They just fade. And maybe it's just the byproduct of being a pop band. I don't know. They don't have the kind of longevity that the progressive rock bands have, or the hard rock bands, or even some of the heavy metal bands. But anyways, here we go. So there are 11 tracks on this album. The album Zenyatta, Mondatta, released in 1980, of course, coming in on day number 20 of my favorite rock albums of the 1980s. Some good tracks here. My favorite track opens it, and that's Don't Stand So Close to Me. This may actually be my favorite Police song of all time. It's pretty close between Message in the Bottle and Roxanne and Walking on the Moon. Those are all right up there, but I think this is probably my favorite track by them. Driven to Tears, I always liked it. I like the bass part on the song quite a bit. Sorry, swallowed something the wrong way. Yeah, so it's one of my favorite tracks. The 4th track, Canary in a Coal Mine, is probably my 2nd favorite track on this album. It's a very fast paced, interesting kind of jumpity guitar bit on it. I like that. Bombs Away, I like the fast pace of that song, and I like the drums quite a bit on it. And do da da da. I like the guitar and drums on this quite a bit. Not so crazy about the title of the song. It's kind of stupid, but other than that, it's not too bad. Some of the other tracks on it I liked. When the world is running down, you make the best of what's still around. Most likely the longest title of any song in history, or pretty close to it. Not a bad song. I like that song quite a bit as well. The Voices Inside My Head, pretty cool bass riff on that as well. The last 4 tracks on the album, probably the reason why this album doesn't rank as high as the first 2, or at least as Message in the Bottle, is these last 4 tracks I think are just, they have some interesting parts to them, which I'll talk about, but for the most part, they're kind of forgettable. I don't, until I seen them today, I had forgotten even half of them existed. Behind the, so I can't even read what I wrote. Wow, I can't read that at all. I got to slow down with my handwriting. Anyways, Maniac. Sorry, Man in a Suitcase. See, they can't even read my writing. I might as well not even write it. Shadows in the Rain and The Other Way of Stopping. All pretty much forgettable tracks. Man in a Suitcase, I remember that. It's kind of an interesting, kind of little jumpy beat to it. It's got that kind of reggae startup, which I like, The last track, The Other Ways of Stopping, nice drums, a little bit of a bass, and it's an instrumental. So, and that's the same with the other song whose last part I can't read because my handwriting is so bad, and the song is not memorable, so I can't remember what it was. Has some heavy guitar, but it's basically an instrumental too. And the Police like to do these little instrumentals. I wasn't really big on any of them, the ones that they did. But overall, it's a pretty decent listen to. To me, it's a nice album to, when you're reading a book, to have on. It's a book reading album. I have a few that I like to do. This would be one of them. Other than the first track, I can hear them in the background and kind of go along, but not really pay attention, and I like that. There's a few albums like that I have that I like quite a bit. This is one of those albums when I had it, but I don't have it anymore. So I haven't actually listened to much Police in the last decade or so. Sometimes I like to put on Regatta de Blanc because I like that album a lot. But mostly I just don't listen to them much anymore. It's just because they're kind of poppy, and there's a lot of pop stuff out that I'd rather listen to now. And then, of course, that pop stuff fades, and then I don't want to listen to that either. Right? I go on to something else. Like I've gone through a Steely Dan bit for the last year or so, and I can well imagine that Steely Dan will end up on the same side page as the Police. I will listen to them, and then I won't care too much about the albums anymore, and they'll just kind of sit there. And that's just the way I am with pop rock, or rock, like soft rock, or not soft rock, but like just poppy rock, that kind of stuff. I'll listen to it, but then I don't really care too much about it. The only band that seems to be able to get by that is the Beatles. I tend to like to listen to them. Even their pop stuff from the early 60s I like quite a bit, and I think a lot of that has to do with John Lennon's vocals. But anyways, other than that, that's a pretty decent album. I ranked it fairly high based on the fact that I played it a lot, and I have some nostalgic attachment. I know a lot of the songs, and even when I was listening to it, I said, yeah, I remember how good that was, So that's why this album ranks up there fairly high on my list of 1980 albums. So there you have it. So I hope you enjoyed this video on the Police's album. So please like and subscribe. It's much appreciated. And we'll be back again tomorrow with yet another album as we get closer to the end of this month. The albums are getting stronger. If not exactly in the row that they're supposed to be, they're getting stronger progressively over time. And next week we'll be getting into some really strong albums, some masterpieces from here in this next week's, in the last week's session. So anyways, I hope you have a good night, and tomorrow this video will come out. I know that the Alice Cooper one came out at midnight because I forgot to set the time. I just forgot it completely, and the album, if you don't set a time, it'll come out automatically at midnight. So anyways, this one will be set to come out at 8 in the morning. So take care. Bye.